Hey, Von Miller. Can we talk about Von Miller?
Oh, God, that's rough.
I don't know that it's as bad as... So it's an emotional loss, for sure. They lose a leader. It feels like a gut punch because he's been there so long. They love him. I don't know. I mean, let's talk about just strictly Denver and Kansas City. Because I think that's what... If they're going to win their division or do well, they got to beat Kansas City. I don't know if they can. But in that matchup especially, their offense is their defense. I mean,
Yes.
does Von Miller lose them another game? I don't know. I don't know that they do necessarily lose a lot more because of losing Von Miller. I like him. He's great. But they need to score a lot of points to win anyway, right? Am I crazy on that?
They need him for games like this one against Tennessee is what they needed.
Yeah.
Because Von Miller historically has been awful against Mitchell Schwartz anyway. Like, Mitchell Schwartz is his kryptonite. So it's not like he was going to be that big of a factor against the Chiefs no matter what. Like, that was always going to be Drew Lock's game to win, not Von Miller's.
Yeah.
Because for the last, 5 years, that's not been Von Miller's game to win. He very rarely does well against the Chiefs because of Mitchell Schwartz. But also when you package the fact that Von's not there with Chubb being limited to start the year, he's on a pitch count, and the fact that it's Locke's first game in a new offense, as much as we love Shermer as an OC, it's still Locke's first game, new weapons, new offense against a returning coaching staff, a team that just went to the AFC Championship game. You know, 2 starting edge rushers gone, offensive line has questions, you've had opt-outs. Bowles historically has been poor to start the year and then good to finish the year. So if that trend holds, we can expect the typical September Garrett Holds to return. So it's a very tough matchup that they needed all hands on deck for to beat Tennessee.
Yeah.
If I was gonna just do a straight up pick 'em, I would pick the Titans. I think it'll be close because of that kind of Denver magic that they always have. I don't think it'll be like more than 2 points, but I would probably pick Tennessee. But as it relates to beating the Chiefs, like, that was always going to be a you got to score 35 to win type
With
thing.
Drew Lock. I mean, is it weird? How valuable is the defensive end? Because I saw Khalil Mack go to the Bears and, defensive ends are going to have a huge impact. Didn't he make the playoffs? And I don't mean to hate on defensive ends. I don't mean to hate on Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack's awesome. But is a defensive end really worth 5 games? Like, how valuable is a defensive end in the scheme of things in terms of football? Is quarterback way more valuable?
A defensive end that is paired with a great interior rusher is a much greater force multiplier than just a defensive end by themselves. When Khalil Mack was paired with Hicks, then you're getting full value out of Mack because you got to slide to Hicks. Not to mention Hicks is so disruptive on the inside. He's flushing people into Mack. And when it's not just the Khalil Mack show, you give him more one-on-ones, and not to mention Hicks is such a monster against the run that you give him more 3rd and longs to work with. It's a much different scenario. So if you're going to pay big money for a defensive end, talking to you, Dallas, with DeMarcus Lawrence, you better have a dominant interior player with him, or else you're never going to get full value. Like, we love edge rushers. They're a very important position. But in terms of spending big money on a position, and this is something I firmly believe, and as more and more analytics have come out over the last 5 years, it's only kind of expanded this mindset across the analytics community. It is, if you're going to spend money on one position on offense and on defense that is not reliant on every other position to be effective, it's quarterback on offense and it's corner on defense. If you have great corners, you don't rely on a great safety to make a great corner. Unless you're like a pure zone system or something like that. But like, that's why Miami, they're spending big on Xavier. They're spending big on Byron. 1st-round pick on Igbenogany. They're loading up at corner because if you have 3 good corners that can play man, it doesn't really matter if you have a great free safety because all their guys are going to be locked up anyway. And they're not spending on defensive end. They're not spending on defensive tackle because those 2 positions, in a way, kind of rely on each other to be good. Corner in a vacuum. If you have good corners, you're going to have a good defense. So to answer your whole question about was the Khalil Mack trade worth it? Yes, when Akeem Hicks was healthy. When Akeem Hicks got hurt last year, Mack's value plummeted. So now that Hicks is healthy again this year, sure, it's going to be a great defense. But if Hicks gets hurt again, the Bears defense goes with him.